All right, this is going to be the recap here for this Monday, May 22nd of 2023. Had a really nice day today. Only made a couple trades on the commodity side, the future side. Took the indices took a trade only on the E-mini S&P 500. Also took a gold. Now I've been in gold all day. Will continue to hold it. Still waiting for gold to hit my target. I'll show you that here in just a minute. But as far as the ES, just pretty textbook. Had an HF2 buy. Now remember, I'm looking at 4 different patterns, HF1, 2, 3. And I also have what we call a pairing pattern. Alright, so pairing HF1, 2, and 3. This actually was an HF2 buy here. Came in around 11:06. This was this was after the early morning show. But anyway, we did get the buy. I stayed in this trade for quite a while. We were in this for several hours. Didn't even get close to my stop and really didn't hit target until after 2 o'clock. It was almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but this was my profit target up here. It did hit profit. This was level 1. I did get out. Took my profit. I did add a little bit during this sideways motion. And once we hit profit, I went ahead and I exited trade. Let's take a look at gold. I'm still in gold and we'll be carrying that to Tuesday. I do have a limit order in, so if it hits anytime this evening or going into tomorrow, I will go ahead and exit the trade. Okay, we'll take a look at gold here. Okay, so here's a gold trade. Now, I did execute this gold trade during the first hour of trading. Once again, this is going to be an HF1 buy out of the 4 different patterns. HF1 is one of my favorites, so we did have an HF1 buy. I had this 84 stop and reverse up there, but we never really got close to it. So I did get short on the gold, and I was looking for a profit down here, as I mentioned this morning, of 1969. Just to show you that today's action, we just kind of stayed in between the 2 points. And so as long as this is still in play, still waiting for this target to get hit, I am going to continue to hold. So I'm either going to get, it's going to stop and reverse me up here at 84, or I'm going to hit my target down here at, let's see here, down here at 69. So anyway, that's where we are with gold. So we'll carry gold over. We'll see how that's doing tomorrow. And but we had a really nice day in stocks. MBOT ended up the day 159%. So let's take a look at what I did on MBOT. Alright, so here's the MBOT trade. So we started off this morning, I believe it was around 8:54, 8:55. Ended up getting a buy entry on the pairing pattern. Was expecting it to go fairly flat, and it did, but I was waiting for after the opening. It actually started weakening here, so I went ahead and I exited, waiting for a better setup. I wasn't out of this trade, so I took a loss on this first pairing pattern, but 2 minutes later, I was literally back in on an HF2 buy. It did come up to one level here. I had I had this third level sitting up here. Once it hit this second level and pulled back, I went ahead and took half off. I did not take the whole thing off. And then after this weakness, now had I not seen this kind of weakness, I would have tried to go and try to hit this upper level up here around 48. But what I ended up doing is after I lifted half here, and it went through this second level and hit it and went through it again. As it pulled back, I went ahead and I took my second half off. That's how I actually ended up a positive on MBOT. But as you can see here, it did finally hit that third level. And I wasn't tracking it any further, so I don't know if we had more levels up here or not. A lot of times what happened is when we have these kind of moves, we do start producing more upper levels and some more patterns. But I did not follow it after I exited and took everything off on that on this trade, which was around 10:05. So I was in that trade from the very beginning at, what did I say, 9:06. Got out around 9:04, got back in at 9:06. And I carried that for about an hour here before I got out. So, a little bit longer than I like to hold on to these. What I really like to see is coming out of the opening gate, entering and getting a setup right before the opening bell, something that is strong. MBOT was strong, good volume, good spread. I really thought once it opened up, it was going to do more of this kind of spike and then continue to go up. But it didn't hold, and that's why I went ahead and got out. I was a little nervous about that because I felt that maybe we were going to pull back even further. And so I got out, but then shortly 2 minutes later, I ended up getting back in and still ended up having a nice day with that overall. Could have done a little bit better had I held on to it and played it out a little bit longer, but I'm really trying to keep my trades down and trying to hit those real quick bursts and then get out. Don't like to hold them this long. So the other thing is, as my targets, as Einstein starts to project these longer targets, so basically we have the pattern set up. Einstein provides me with these targets here. The further out that I go, the longer it takes to hit it. So in this case, it took, from the very first entry, 9, 10... So almost 2 hours, something like that, before it actually, so we started around 8:55, and it didn't actually hit that third level until, 10:30. So there you go. That's a long time to hold the trade in order to go. So I like to get in and get out, and really don't like to hold those trades very long. Now, what I will do sometimes, and I didn't do it today, is if I do see other patterns setting up, after I get out and I still have a target or two up here, I may go ahead and re-enter. But as a rule of thumb, I don't like to get back into a trade. So I like MBOT. That's the only reason why I got back into it. Typically, if I'm in a trade and I make money on it, I don't like to revisit that trade again. I know a lot of traders do, and some of them do very well, but it's almost my thought is that the market typically has one really nice burst. And I'm talking about on average. Most of them don't just take off and keep going up all day. Most of them have a very quick burst, particularly on these kind of, these stocks, anything below $20, $10. They have these really nice bursts and then they just kind of die off. So, very seldom do you have this thing just continue to go up, up, up. So anyway, I like to get in and get out fairly quickly on these types of stocks. So once I'm in and I make money on it, I like to just stay on the sidelines and just let it go and start looking at other opportunities that are getting ready to make a move. Let's see what else. The other one was PACW. That actually turned out to be my best trade of the day. Let's take a quick look at PACW because that really was a true little scalp. So let's take a look at that. Alright, so here's the PACW trade. So I did several things here. First entry was prior to the opening at 9:19. Was once again expecting it to have a burst up. It did not. But one thing that I liked about PACW is when you looked at Bookmap. Now, those that may be familiar with Bookmap know that it does show us order size, shows us where a lot of the buying and selling is, and it was very, very strong. Okay, so it's not so much the volume. Now, volume is important, but you see a spike down here, you may think it's ready to go south, but when you see a lot of buying coming in down here, then it makes sense to go ahead and continue to hold on to the trade because it's going to push it up. If it doesn't push it up to where you can at least get out, a lot of times what it'll do is that a lot of times it will push it not only where you can get out, but then continue its strength if you want some more and more buying starts to come in. So that's kind of what we saw this morning, where I entered long, and then it came back. Now, I had some upper levels. This is one of my levels. I don't know if you can see it here, but I had a level sitting way up here on 658. I entered somewhere around 38, 39. And let's see here. So, oops. So anyway, after it pulled back and when it started going back up, we did have some additional patterns setting up down here. That's what these two green lines were, okay? So it did project down here that it would be moving higher, but what I ended up doing, because I liked the buying coming in, I saw a lot of good volume coming in and really didn't see any really heavy selling. I went ahead and I added right here on this buy. I continued to hold. PACW was one of those where it's like it just kept screaming buy, 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 and I ended up buying again. So this was my third entry into PACW. I still had a stop down here. Now I had it reversed. Yeah, it probably would have been a pretty nasty loss, but I went ahead and I bought it again, and then it finally started coming and breaking out, so it started going through. So at this point, I was pretty much even because I did these losses that I had entered over here. I was making it up on these additional buys coming into this order over here. I finally ended up getting out. Let's see here. I ended up getting out as it was starting to attempt to go up to this 658. The reason I got out early was because I saw a lot of selling coming in up here. All right. And it really started to make me nervous, thinking that we may not get up the 658. So instead of being greedy and trying to hold it all the way up, I was already nicely had $300. I went ahead and took my profit right here. That wasn't another target. That was a target right here at 647. So once it hit 647, and that was another one that was came in from another pattern down here. Once it hit that first target and I saw that selling coming in, I decided to go ahead and get out. And I think it eventually did come up. Let's see. Yeah, it did finally come up and hit those other two levels, but I did see some pretty good selling coming in here. Even though volume-wise, you can see volume started drying up as it was going sideways, which is usually an indication that it's going to go back up, but I had gotten out of it. I did not re-enter on PACW. That was it. So overall, a really good day in stocks. NPAA, I got into that. I liked the pattern. The volume wasn't there. The spread was good between the bid and the ask, but the volume wasn't there. So I think at the most it was maybe a $20 on 200 shares. It just wasn't going anywhere. So I finally went ahead and got out. But by the time that I got out, you know, of course you always are going to get the lower the spread. So I ended up losing $6. No big deal there. But overall, JDST, I was back in the JDST again. Nice burst on JDST. As I've been saying, I've been hitting JDST now for some time. I'll continue to watch as long as I get those buy patterns set up. I'm going to continue to jump in the JDST. JSIT, another one active from last week. A lot of these stocks, if they're active, you know, over the last several days, a lot of times they get quiet and then they get that second burst of energy in there. And so I like to keep track of those. So GSIT was one of those. FTCH was one that was on a lot of people's radar today, so trade that. AVRO was another one. FRLN was another fairly popular one, and then CNSP pulled a little bit out of that. So overall, nice day. And so we'll see what gold ends up doing. Like I said, I'm still holding short on that gold, and we'll see if we can get triggered sometime. Either it's going to be tonight or it's going to be hopefully sometime tomorrow. But we'll just hold on to gold and see until we can hit our target. Gold can be a slow mover. That's the only reason why I'm going to hold on to it a little bit longer and see if I can't hit my target. And looking at the charts, certainly looks like it does want to go down. All right, that's it. We'll see everybody tomorrow on the next, hopefully in the morning show. Please be sure to join us. Once again, if you like my videos, please be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. That always helps out the channel. And if you have any questions, you can always go to my YouTube channel, Innovative Trading Strategies, or my website, innovativeTradingStrategies.com. See y'all tomorrow.